Hello, welcome everybody. Jimepsua, Soksabai. Glad to have you here. I was just thinking that I told someone today, oh, tomorrow night I do my live. And because I guess I was thinking it was Monday and that tomorrow is Tuesday. She says, oh, I can't wait for tomorrow. I'm going to watch your live. And I don't know. Oops. Um, who knows? I guess maybe I should do another one tomorrow just in case. Talk about something else. Um, but I certainly don't need to be someone that does it every day, all day, hours and hours and hours. There are people who do that. Good for them. It's not me. Anyway, I hope maybe she decide I gave her my card, with my channel on it so that she could find it. So if she goes tonight to check it out and subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications and then maybe notice that I am live tonight. Otherwise, we're still going to have a good time. So Chalet's in the house, says, I'm here listening, but on a phone call. Uh, there we go. My camera is grainy tonight. I don't know what. Oh, maybe it's because it's not as much light. I mean, I can turn on some more lights. I usually have some more lights on. Let's see if that helps. It's still kind of grainy. Okay. Yeah, whatever. So I have prepared a slide presentation so that I'm not like, I mean, of course, later we can always check things online. So the question tonight is why is the true crime community fixated, absolutely fixated on Kylie Rodney, the Idaho 4, the Delphi murders, the Lahaina fires? I mean, they're not so much fixated on the camping, the RV life girl, Gabby Petito. They were, but that one, for some reason, has pretty much been put to bed. Maybe because there's no, I mean, in the case of Kylie Rodney, you would think, it would be similar in resolution, and being resolved. There's not going to be a court case. Law enforcement has it settled. It's settled as far as they're concerned. Idaho 4 still ongoing. Delphi murder still ongoing. But Gabby Petito is done. Even though when Brian Laundrie's body was found, or bones, portion of his remains were found, there were a lot of people that felt it's not him. I'm not sure it was him. But I guess it's going to be a mystery that we never know, right? But there's this fixation. So why? I think I know why. Because the media and law enforcement, in their efforts to control the narrative, refuse to give information and let all the speculation go wild. There wouldn't be any speculation if they would just share some of their evidence. I mean, do they have a obligation? Not necessarily, except that there is a certain matter of public record that's always existed. But that was before the internet, and people had to file documents and go down to the court and maybe pay a fee to get the copies. So you didn't have as many people with access to this information. But just because it's easier to get and and can be more widespread, does that negate the public's right to know things about public cases? about what happens in society as a whole so that we can better prepare ourselves against maybe some kind of similar crime happening, because we are talking about criminal activity at this right now. Um, so, and I think there's been plenty of um, information. I mean, like with the Supreme Court and everything making decisions over 100. We've been a country for over 200 years. Um, and there have been plenty of decisions that lean towards the public having access to information. Now, in extreme cases, there may be a gag order or something. It seems to be more prevalent today that that's used. Um, and sometimes it could be justified, but maybe sometimes it's going overboard. Um, one thing for sure, the less information they give, meaning law enforcement and the court system in general, the less information they give, the more speculation there is. That's a fact. And because we have so much access to information with what people post on social media, that you can use the Wayback Machine. If somebody takes something down that removes a website or something, you might be able to still find the Wayback Machine having um, a copy of what was there before, uh, even though it's been taken down. So there's a lot of information out there to be found if somebody knows how to dig. And that's one thing about the true crime community, is they love to dig. And they like to go down a lot of rabbit holes. And this is something that detectives would normally do. Uh, they should be leaving no stone unturned. Uh, and explore all possibilities. I don't know if I cut out there, and explore all possibilities. Who's that? That's a kitty. Um, and rule things out. It's a process of elimination. That's normal, and the true crime community is just going through that process of elimination, but in a very public way, and following the rabbit holes, rabbit trails, and going here, going there. Let's who is this person? What is their connection and everything? So let's jump into my presentation. Let's see, slides. I have no slides. Oh, wait. Add file from your computer. Okay, this is the first time I've tried to do, show a presentation, because I can share my whole computer screen, but let's go through this process. So I can upload the file. I want to see how it works. I'm early today. Don't I usually start at 8 on Tuesdays? Oh, do I start at 9? I start at 8 on Saturday mornings and at 9 on Tuesday nights. Okay, so I'm an hour early. Oops. All right. Okay, so now I have let me see. Look at that. Not no. I apologize. Wait, remove. That was the wrong slide. That's not the slide. That's a work slide. Thank goodness you didn't see any of the presentation. Remove that one from Studio. Let's try this again. We're going to go to a slide. Wait. Didn't I click on the right one? Okay, that's the name. I'm going to just try it one more time. Slides. Oh, wait a minute. Let me open this. Okay. Yeah, that's the one I want. From my computer, upload a file. This file. Okay. Now this time it looks right. Oh. Okay, it's uploading. And we're going to go through some of what I've done in this presentation. Is I've given some basic details about the case, and then what are the, I called it oddities. What are the oddities? Some, at least some. It's not every, and it'd be too exhausting, but some of the main oddities, and it included a couple of pictures. So here we go, adding it. So why is the true crime community fixated on these cases? All right. Okay. I was like looking, oh, how do I change to the next slide? I found it. Here we go. Oh, look at me. Okay. So I need to make it just the screen. There we go. So the first one is Kylie Rodney. There's a nice picture of what she looks like. So she went missing in Truckee, California on August 6th. The dogs are barking, like really barking, to make sure there's not a thief outside. Okay. They might just be barking at like a dog walking by or something. Okay. Why? I'm just wondering why the pictures are covering that. I'm going to look at my PowerPoint really quick. They're not. So it's squeezing my slides. That's okay. So she went missing in Truckee, California on August 6th, 2022, last year. Last year. She was last seen at a party in the woods at Prosser Lake. This was kind of like a graduation party, but like for all the kids in the area. Their last big party before they all go their own separate ways after graduating. She did not attend the public high school. She was like homeschooled through a charter school. So her car was found in Prosser Lake with her body in the back hatch area on August 20 something. Here, let me look at my slide. 21st by Adventures with a Purpose dive team. Okay, that's what that says underneath these pictures. So the pictures I'll go over. This was a video surveillance picture of Kylie Rodney before the party. There were numerous people that feel that this is suspect, that maybe it's not really her, maybe it's photoshopped, maybe it's her friend Sammy, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. There's a lot of speculation about that photo. Then we have a photo of when her car was being pulled out of the lake. The dive team found it. They make their own YouTube. They had their own YouTube channel and their YouTube videos. And so they edited their own video about their search and how they discovered her car. But then they called in law enforcement. Normally, when they find a vehicle, they cooperate with law enforcement. Law enforcement asks them to, to stay on and assist because they're experienced in this. But the law enforcement in Truckee, they did not want. I mean, they kicked them out and said, "Go home. Thank you very much, but go home now." In the process of, so just going over the pictures, in the process of pulling out the car, the car was upside down on the bottom of the lake. They turned the car over to pull it out. which is not standard protocol for retrieving a vehicle that was potentially part of a crime. And so possible evidence was lost. Then we see Sammy with her standing at a microphone with her hand above her head. Sammy was claiming to be best friends with Kylie. However, there was no social media evidence of them hanging out or them being together. So we don't know other than Sammy's own words. And that picture of her standing at a microphone is immediately following the law enforcement press conference, where she then steps up and says, okay, anybody that needs to, that is afraid to talk to the police, you can come talk to me. And she set up days of a place where people could come talk to her and give her the information, and then she would pass it to law enforcement. Maybe not. Right? That was odd. Oh, we'll get to the oddities. Anyway, the next picture that I have there is of a group of people that had gathered after the party when she was found, when it was discovered that she was missing, and they're gonna arrange search parties. They're all like volunteers to be searching for Kylie Rodney. And that guy that's standing right there in the front with his arms crossed and a baseball hat and dark glasses is the son of a very prominent person who may or may not have been dating Kylie. And other than pictures of him on this day and video of him on this day, then he's scrubbed from the internet, so there was always question about him. I'm gonna have to move this picture for you. I don't know if it would update it if I move it in the original PowerPoint. If I save it, let me go back one and then forward one. No, because it's already uploaded. Anyway, if you see the word slide 2 with little arrows, that's right over the picture of Jagger and the other girl that he was with, that looks like Kylie Rodney. But maybe you can see that, and maybe only I see slide 2 covering it. Anyway, so the oddities. Here's a list of 6 oddities. There's more. The best friend, Sammy, took over the call for witnesses, and which was allowed by law enforcement. That is a suspect thing. That's odd. The police never came out and said, you know what, we asked Sammy to help, this, that. They never came out and made a statement about it. If they would have, see, it's this lack of information that causes the fixation, right? If they would have come out and said something about why they were letting her run the investigation, it seemed, right? Then maybe people would, oh, okay. But it was odd. Sammy spoke out with media, whether it was other influencers in the true crime community or whether it was just the local media. She did not keep her mouth shut. She was out there in the front in the search to find Kylie. The party went down like the A, B, C, D, E, blah, 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 blah. It was this, it was that. People were looking at her body language to, is she lying? Is she telling the truth? Going over and over what she said, picking it apart, finding discrepancies. So that was another piece of it. She made the comment that the party was like the Lord of the Flies. Well, hey, Andy, hey, audio only, low volume. We're in the office. It's raining. Good morning from Northern California, east of Shasta. Yeah, you're up really early because Shalay reminded me that I actually started an hour earlier than I normally do. Oops. But glad you found it. And even though you can't see the slide presentation, I hope you can appreciate what we're talking about tonight. If you get a chance, go ahead and leave some comments. So, if you don't know what Lord of the Flies is, it was a book. It was made into a movie. And this group of young boys is on an island or in some kind of wilderness area, and they're alone, and they have to survive, and they end up making, without any society, because they're just in this wilderness area to survive. They create their own little society, which is great in the beginning, but then all the greed and jealousy and anger and all the bad parts of human nature start coming out, and they end up murdering one of their own. um, and that's like kind of like the biggest takeaway from the whole book of the Lord of the Flies, that without societal, society has evolved for so thousands and thousands of years to become what society is now, and these rules that we have in society benefit us because we've learned from trial and error. And without those societal rules, and just people, you know things can just get out of hand. And so, did somebody get killed? If the party was like the Lord of the Flies, does she just think of the Lord of the Flies as like, woohoo, out of control? We don't have any adults. We can do whatever we want. I mean, is that her takeaway from Lord of the Flies? Or does she realize that the biggest takeaway that everybody has is that they murder someone, they murder one of their own? Did they murder one of their own? And was that Kylie? Right? Okay. Hey, oh, yeah. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Good. She would say things that made it sound like Kylie was drunk and wouldn't have tried to drive. Oh, no, no, she's a smart girl. We were drinking out of the same cup all night. Um, Things like this. But all these people that were her friends left her at the party. Um, did I write that down? No, I didn't put that down. So Sammy left. Another girl left. They all said that like the party was getting out of hand. There were older people that showed up. There was a lot of drugs going on. Then so their party kind of got taken over, and so they decided to leave. Well, why would they leave Kylie if they're her friend, right? This is a lot of the conversation, that things that weren't making sense, things that weren't adding up. When you have a case that things don't add up, that's when people get fixated on it. Kylie's mother said that she got a, a call, but I think it was a text from Kylie saying that she was going to be, her curfew was 11. She was going to be 11:30 or something. And then she went to bed. But there was nothing in the contact from Kylie that made it appear that she was drunk and that she was in any condition not to drive home, that she was planning on driving home. She was going to be leaving in like 30 minutes and she'd be home. So let's move on to the next one. Ex-boyfriend Jagger claimed that he loved her. He acted like he was still her boyfriend. I love Kylie so much, and I'm going to find her, and she's going to be okay and everything. But he's saying this standing right next to the other girl that, quite frankly, I was like, wait a minute. Is this something Is this Kylie he's standing next to? Who is that? It's Kate, I believe it was her name. And they were already together. And then we come to find out that like the same day or whatever, they're like on talking to the news about looking for Kylie, that they're sleeping together and stuff. And yet they're all crying over Kylie, and but they're sleeping together. I mean, it didn't add up. All the statements from the friends, when you look at the things that were said that were not said, it really made people on the outside looking in feel like Kylie might have been being set up to attend. Like, she wasn't, the party scene was not her thing. The in club, the clique, the group, the popular kids, she was not one of them. She was not part of them. She's not in any of their social media as being part of them. There were plenty of pictures with Jagger when she was dating him. So were they setting her up to attend this party as part of a bullying, to bully her? Sammy also mentioned a fight that took place, like a fight club. Was Kylie in a fight? Was Kylie in a fight with Sammy? All these kids that were at the party, there had to have been cell phone pings and stuff. That police must have had a mountain of evidence that they could figure out who was where, and just everything. There was no information being given, which made everybody speculate. The discovery of the car, the loss of evidence, the position, the position of her body being in the back hatch of the car, the lack of autopsy protocol, what tests were run, what tests were not run, all of this raised suspicions. So we could spend the whole night talking about Kylie Rodney. There are people in the true crime community that still spend every day talking about Kylie Rodney. And is it ever going to be solved? I would love it if it is. Are they going to break something? Is their persistence perhaps going to eventually lead to a break in what really happened? That would be great. Idaho 4. This is another one with a lack of information and a lot of things that just don't add up. So what we know is that 4 college students were stabbed to death in Moscow, Idaho on November 13th on 2022. So just last November, almost a year ago, because it's the end of September now, coming up on October. 2 women stopped at the food truck on their way home from a bar. That would be, and there's a picture of the food truck camera with Maddie and the other one. It's a K, not Kylie, Kaylee, something like that. They're seen here. They're seen in that bottom picture. That's the food truck. Behind them is a guy that was walking them from the bar, was expecting to walk them home. He put on the hood of his hoodie. When they arrived, he didn't have his hood up until he got to the truck, and they walked up to the window to make their order, and then he put his hood on. So then he became known as Hoodie Guy. Everyone, it's this guy, it's that guy. Who is it? Blah, blah, blah. The large guy in the front, somehow his name came up as the Hoodie Guy, and he came out and said, "No, I'm not the Hoodie Guy. But yeah, I'm in the video. I'm this guy." And this is what happened that night, and I was talking to the girls, and I was talking to Hoodie Guy, and I was taught, blah, blah, blah. And so then he became part of this information. So two of them stopped at the food truck on their way home from the bar. The other two were last seen at a party, but they had hours that were unaccounted for, and they ordered DoorDash just prior to the murders. So around 4 a.m., they had ordered DoorDash, or the DoorDash was being delivered around 4 a.m., and they think the murders occurred at that same time. So Brian Kohberger was arrested and charged with the murders. By the way, I am not mincing any words. This is all news. There's news stations that would talk about a news story, and they would say these words. And their videos of their news stories are on YouTube. So I'm just going to say whatever I want to say, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so those are the basics, right? Brian Kohberger was arrested and charged with the murders, and that's him down at the bottom. The house where they lived is the picture in the middle. The two girls that were at the food truck were on the third floor. The second floor was Xana and her boyfriend, and then the first floor, one of the first things we were told were two other people that were not murdered, that they survived. But then it turned out one of them, Dylan, was actually on the second floor in another bedroom. But I have that listed in the oddities. So what are the oddities about the Idaho 4? Why is the true crime community fixated on the Idaho 4? Well, law enforcement gives conflicting information about who was in the house and where, who was sleeping or not sleeping, who was the target, who was not the target. The order of the killings were this one killed first and then this one, whatever, or just not even giving any information about the order of the killings, which they have to know from blood splatter and this and that and whatever. There has to be evidence of the crime scene that would lead the police to understand what order each person was killed in. So this lack of information on these issues, and not only lack of information, but like a misinformation. For example, the sleeping or not. In the beginning, in their press conference, they said everyone was sleeping when the murders occurred. Well, then we find out that Xana got a DoorDash, and we find out that there's an affidavit from one of the other girls that survived that saw the intruder. So no, not from the beginning. They knew not everybody was sleeping. And potentially somebody was like on the floor. It's unclear whether it was Xana or her boyfriend. One of them was in the bed, and one of them, it seems like, was on the floor, halfway in the door, halfway out of the door. Which there was like so much speculation that people that because one thing that's not on here is that survivor that saw the intruder didn't call the police until noon the next day, and these happened at 4 a.m. But they called other people to come, and so everybody's thinking, when we find out that there was a phone call to 911, well, because people were asking, what about the 911 call? Why can't you release the 911 call? Blah blah blah. They refused to release the 911 call. Okay, maybe there's some kind of sensitive information on it, but because they don't, everyone speculates. And then they invited other people there, so everyone is thinking, well, the door was closed, they didn't know they were dead, and they must have been banging. She must have called someone, hey, I can't wake up Xana, and the door's locked and she's not answering her phone. Can you come help me or something? But no, that's not the case, because the police officers when in their written statement that came out later, arrived, went up the stairs from the ground floor up to the second floor there, and described immediately seeing one of the bodies. And obviously there's blood everywhere. So I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Well, okay. Anyway, we're talking about the oddities, right? It's there was conflicting information given out by law enforcement. Red drips were seen on the outside of the house as if blood had seeped from a bedroom, from the second floor bedroom, like blood seeping out from the corner, right? Like the floor, as if there was so much blood. What I mean, did law enforcement see that at the crime scene? Did they take DNA swabs, some swabs of that blood and run DNA tests on it? Was it blood? Was it rust? Was it paint? Could law enforcement answer that? Say, oh yeah, we took a swab, we ran a test, it was paint. End of story. End of story. No more speculation. Or it was blood and it was DNA and it was one of the victims' blood. They don't have to tell us which one if they don't want to. Be nice if they did. Oh yeah, Andy, you need to join us for karaoke on Fridays. Just in case you're not seeing the messages and only listening to me. Chalet's mentioned that. Andy, you need to karaoke with us on Fridays. So Friday night in America, Saturday morning in Cambodia. You can figure out anywhere in between. There you go. No pics. Yeah, there were no pictures of. You mean for the crime scene with? Oh gosh, 8:30. That was 30 minutes ago. Oh no, so no pictures of Kylie Rodney. You're probably talking about Chalet. Sorry, I didn't see your comment before. Okay, so oh, no pics. Now I know what you're talking about. I've been talking for 30 minutes about the Idaho 4 and I didn't change the slide for you because I was in the PowerPoint. I just noticed that I was in PowerPoint and I couldn't see the messages because I was looking at PowerPoint instead of in my StreamYard. Yeah. I'm sorry. And you didn't get any notifications. Oh my gosh. Are you sure your little bell is turned on for notifications? I mean, I have 150 subscribers. I mean, why would they be like not sending notifications for me? Oh my goodness. Okay, so now everything that I was just talking about, I apologize. This is the first time I'm using presentation. In fact, I'm going to close my PowerPoint so I don't do that again. I feel so embarrassed. It's okay. So number 3, as you can see now, if you're following along with me, the medical examiner gave details and then she retracted her details. This is odd. So was she telling the truth the first time? Did she just misunderstand something? Is she incompetent? Is she very competent but told to shut up? Oddity. Family members give details during interviews, and then the court issues a gag order. So some of the details that everybody's worked off of are from these interviews early on. Tiger Eye. Hi, Tiger Eye. I've never seen you before. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining. And so, yeah, we're just going through some of the odd things and why people get fixated on these crime cases. So the food truck footage went viral and everybody was picking that apart. I mentioned that earlier. Now you can see the picture. There were suspicions at this point that the suspect might be an incel, meaning involuntary celibate, which means somebody who's kind of dorky and isn't good with picking up women, and possibly even a paramilitary killer, somebody with paramilitary. Or maybe they passed law enforcement, maybe someone that's been in the military and is now out, or just part of some kind of group that likes hunting. All of this was speculated. Then law enforcement came out and asked for information about a car that was seen on surveillance footage speeding away. And there was all kinds of police footage, from their, not dash cams, but the little cameras they have on their shoulders or whatever, from around this time. Actually, it was earlier. It was like 2:30, 3:00, because their timeline changed. It was like around 3 a.m., but then it turned out that like they friggin' knew that she had the DoorDash at 4 a.m. So why were they giving information or asking for information if you saw something around 3:00, between 2:45 and 3:30? Please let us know, or whatever, right? The interview room guy always sides with the police. Which interview room guy? Have to clarify that for me. I'm having a brain fart. I don't know exactly where you're going with that. Then there was, was it this model? Was it that model? And, oh, well, this person also has that, like 50 million people have this model of car that they're looking for and everything. So once they finally arrest Brian Kohberger, he proclaims that he's innocent. He was pursuing a PhD in criminology, and his master thesis was a script theory on how and why criminals become serial killers. I don't know if you can see that whole thing on the slide or if it's cut off. Okay. I might need to make, if I do a presentation again, I think I'm going to need to make a margin, a significant margin around and keep things in the middle of it. That's the name of this channel. Oh, the interview room guy is the name of a channel, and he always sides with the police. Interesting. So yeah, so there's plenty of, if you're interested, there are still people talking about the Idaho 4. The Brian Kohberger's trial, gosh, I think is supposed to be in January, or whatever the next court hearing is I think so, all the way until January. He's a former detective. Okay. The interview room. He's a former detective. So yeah, there's people that side with the police. There's people that are always suspecting the police. There's like everything that's why, people, but they're fixated regardless of which side they land on. They're fixated because there's not enough information. Okay, now I've moved to the next slide. Delphi. I don't know why when I upload this slide, it moves things around. So for the Delphi murders, we've got two young girls, 13 and 14 years old, Abby and Libby. They went on a hike, and they disappeared on February 13th, 2017. Their bodies were found in the woods on the next day on February 14th, 2017. Libby's smartphone was found at the scene. It had a video and audio of a suspect. So law enforcement released a sketch from a witness in 2017 and then released a second sketch in 2019, reviving interest in the case. And then finally on October 26, 2022, last October, Richard Allen was arrested for the murders. Now, on September 18th this year, just like a week ago, the defense, I'm going to try and remember what I wrote because I can't see what I wrote because there's a picture in front of it because it rearranged my slides when it uploaded. The defense for Allen filed a memorandum, and they were accusing the police or law enforcement. I don't want to say just police because it could be sheriffs and this and that, so law enforcement of mishandling the case and accusing an Odinist group as being the real killers, and they name names. So we see here the two sketches. We see the video, a clip from the video of the bridge guy. I also included this map. I had to look for this because this is what I wanted to know. Where was the bridge? Where were the bodies? And all this. And so this was the best little map thing. It shows the blue line shows where there's private property. You see the creek, you see where they were dropped off. So they had been hiking. And I want to know what evidence they had, because I wasn't following it from the beginning, that makes them point to that spot as the abduction spot. Because if the bridge was over the river, then that's the spot they have for abduction is quite a ways from the bridge, but yet they always talk about it as if the abduction happened at the bridge, because they figure when they videotaped this guy and then they put their phone down and then he took them. That's what it sounds like from them. Yes, Chris McDonough, I think that's his name, says there's nothing to see here. Oh, yeah. Well, in fact, I have another slide. I'll go to it. I can come back to this. This is the mob crew. So I want to shout out the mob crew, and his name is Chris. But this Chris is not law enforcement, but the guy that he's got with him named Steve is retired law enforcement. And what he did is he went out into his own woods in Georgia with a couple of mannequins. And see, I just have a screenshot here so you can see the mob crew and the name of the video, recreating the crime scene and control tests for Delphi. So you can go watch his video, and but you can see here, he did not bring any branches with him. He brought the two mannequins, he laid them down, and then he just looked around and found appropriate sized branches to lay them across the mannequins in the manner that was described in the memorandum, because we don't have the police report and whatever they had found or crime scene photographs or whatever. We don't have any of that. We only have what the memorandum described. So according to that description, he laid out the branches, and how long it took him to do it. It was like 20 minutes. And then he went a step further and covered the mannequins up with leaves to hide the bodies, to see how long, and that took like 5 minutes. So that's what you can see here in this slide, is the screenshot of that part. But I encourage you to go and watch it for yourself. And so, yeah, they're kind of siding more with the police because they kind of think that the defense attorney is always going to be doing something to help get their guy off and to raise reasonable doubt, right? And so they wanted to see, could Could one person do this? Now, it didn't have anything to do with like putting clothes back on, this and that. The thing though that bothers me also about this is the blood or lack of it. So let's go back here to the previous slide and look at our oddities. The timeline is based on the bridge guy seen in the video on Libby's phone, but is he the killer or just someone they passed while hiking? Just because there's this creepy guy they pass on the bridge, how do we know that? I mean, that's that. I mean, does law enforcement have evidence that this is the actual person who abducted and killed? And would that be the same person? Could one person have abducted them and handed them off to somebody else? I mean, there's more questions than answers, and that's why we get fixated. Number two, even though people were searching for the girls in the area, they didn't find her until the next day. So could the murders have happened overnight, extending the timeline? I know a little bit about Delphi. I've heard about Delphi because it's been in the true crime community, but I never, dug into it the way the community has. And so I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, the only reason they have this timeline like this short timeline in the afternoon of the 13th is because that's the timestamp on this video or the timestamp on the audio, because the audio was like down the hill girls or something like that. And they're assuming that voice is the same person that's you see on the bridge guy. How do we know that voice is the same voice that's with this person's image? We never hear the bridge guy, say a word. So there's a lot of assumptions by law enforcement that maybe they have evidence to believe, but we don't know that evidence, or at least I don't know that evidence. And so if the beginning of the timeline is this video and audio, and then or even they're going back to when they were dropped off, so that if anybody saw anything from the time they were dropped off, right? And then they're going until the time the parents started searching for them, because once that happened, then the woods were full of people searching, and if the killer was still there, they would have seen him. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing, that it sound that's what the timeline is based on. Oh, those woods were full of people, so the murders couldn't have happened because they were searching. Well, what if the girls were taken someplace, murdered, or even kept alive, and then brought back the next day? Oh, because there were too many. They couldn't have put the bodies there the next day because there were too many people searching. Well, were they searching exactly where the bodies were found? Because if they were searching where the bodies were found, they would have found them. So obviously they hadn't searched that area yet because they hadn't found them yet. It's kind of like if you've lost something, it's always you find it the last place you look, right? And so let's see. Chalet says, well, if he said it's him in the video, why wouldn't he have said that it was him? Yeah, I've never heard, and I think you're talking about Richard Allen, who's been arrested, who confessed to his wife on the phone in prison. He didn't confess to law enforcement. He only confessed to his wife on a prison call. So they have a recording of him confessing to his wife that he did it. But I have never heard that he has admitted that, oh yeah, that was me in the video. You got me. And even and like I'm saying, if it's him in the video, how do we even know that he's the one that abducted them? Where's the evidence? I mean, evidence. Where's the evidence? Tell me. I'll believe it. Tell me the evidence. I don't know if he said that was him. Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard him admit it or heard that he had admitted it. And then the guy where that this blue line in the picture of the private property, that guy's suspect. His alibi was all over the place, but his alibi for the time that this little mini timeline that and maybe law enforcement has a reason for narrowing it down to that time. I would hope so. But if this memorandum by the defense is correct and there were some police that were like in on it, then they're trying to cover up their friends. Mm-hmm. You know, so show me the evidence of why the timeline is that time, isn't that? And then it's settled. Number 3, the defense memo names law enforcement and Odin as members, one of which looks like the sketches. That's for sure. You put a side, but I didn't put that up here, but you put a side by side of that guy that they named in the memo and the sketch, and it looks, I mean, like, it looks more like this guy looks more like the sketch than Richard Allen does. And this man, the older man, is the father of the ex-boyfriend of one of the girls. I can't remember if it was Abby or Libby. I tend to think that it was Abby, but she was the younger one, 13. So maybe it was Libby that had the boyfriend, but one of them had the boyfriend, right? There's a picture of this guy and his son at a Mason's ceremony, like where his post, so it's the father, his Facebook post is basically saying like, oh, I'm so proud of my son because now he's one of the Masons like me, you know, now he's one of us, whatever, you know, now he's whatever that entry level is, or he completed his entry level. They have a word like probation, so you're a probate or something like that. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But there's a picture of the two of them together as Masons. So if they're together as Masons, why wouldn't they be together as Odinists? And what if in order to be an Odinist, you have to have an initiation? And maybe that's why there's a young sketch and an older sketch, because they were two different witnesses that may have seen two different people in the same area, right? Hey, Mumsy's here. Christine Camarillo. Good morning. You made it. Yay. And Chalet said, well, then, would have said that's me, and I didn't. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's me as bridge guy. So, Mom, we were just going over all these different cases of that the true crime community is fixated on, and talking about why are they fixated on these cases, and it all comes down to not having enough information, you know, because I know that that law enforcement, when they have an active case, they do need to keep one or two pieces of information back in order to, you know, something that only the killer would know. But that's only like one or two pieces of, you know, in like really, really tiny details, not just the normal stuff like the timeline and why do they, you know, what evidence are they basing, you know, this claim or that claim on? What is the evidence? Why do they believe that this is the case? There's no reason why they can't talk about that just because it's an ongoing investigation. You know, then I found out, I put the link on here, which is all, you can't really see it because of the way it uploaded. So while I was like researching for these slides, I came across this information, a news story from WRTV.com news, which I'm assuming is a local station in Indiana. I looked up the name of the three because a different source had listed all three law enforcement officers. So I was reading through that. And then it said that the three law enforcement officers named in the memo as being corrupt or ratting, maybe one of them was like the rat that on the other two. But there are three law enforcement officers mentioned in regard to this case. One of those three names that was mentioned was killed. He was killed by another man right outside of a courthouse. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Let me read about this. And that's what the link is the story about that killing. Because I thought, well, what if he wasn't going to go? What if he was in on if there was something to be in on, right? What if he was in on it and he didn't want to be in on it anymore? And so they had to take him out because they felt he was some kind of threat. So I looked up the name of the guy that killed him, and who was arrested and went to jail and everything, serving his time. And his picture certainly looks like somebody that could be with this other group. I mean, there is no dispute that there is a group of Odinists in Delphi, Indiana. There's no dispute about that. They exist. They're all over Facebook. They show their runes. They show video of ceremonies. They show Hail Odin this and that and everything. And there's plenty of news stories about them attending various activities, not only in Indiana but in other states, traveling to various rallies or whatever. So they exist as a group in Delphi. And this group that you can see plenty of pictures of, the guy that shot the law enforcement officer definitely looks like he could fit into that group. But then maybe that's just because everybody in that area kind of has that look, I don't know. But so that was, I thought that was kind of interesting. I just discovered today while I was making this presentation. So I have one more slide. Oh, not that one. I mean, one more. There we go. I didn't get a chance to finish this one. Of course, that's Lahaina fires. Somehow when this got uploaded, that picture must have got pushed over a little bit, and the final A of Lahaina got dropped down to the second line. I apologize. So the Lahaina fires, why are people fixated on this fire and not other fires? And of course, there's a picture of people standing on the rock wall at the ocean's edge. I don't think anybody stayed there in that spot for very long because the hot air was actually burning skin, and so they had to go into the water. So what are we talking about? Lahaina fires. On August 8th, 2023, a fire destroyed the historic city of Lahaina on the island of Maui in Hawaii. News reports initially blamed climate change and the Hurricane Dora for causing high winds that downed power lines and sparked the blaze. The county has now filed a lawsuit against the electric company for their actions or non-actions. I think that there is a protocol that if wind gusts are above a certain amount, then they need to shut off the power. The power company says they did shut off the power. I know that that's one of our oddities we'll get to. So, oddities for the Lahaina fires. The death toll keeps changing. You can go watch other videos about all that. Is it hundreds? Is it thousands? Um, the death toll and the missing keeps changing. Number two, the school was closed. We know that, and children were sent home. So the question then becomes, was there enough warning for these children to escape, or did they burn? And if they did, and what are they accounted for? There were elderly people that couldn't get up and move and leave. Children that might not have been aware of the danger to leave. So the death toll of only close to 100 just doesn't seem in line. It doesn't add up with the facts we know about the population of the city, who was working, who was not working, and all of this. Chalet says, I'm just waiting for them to decide they want the land around here and zap us. Yeah, that's a possibility, huh? Because land grab is definitely one of the discussions. Like I said, I didn't get to finish this slide. No denying it was all on purpose, in my very humble opinion. And you are entitled to your very humble opinion. And I would definitely agree that there is something fishy going on in Lahaina. The emergency siren. Oh, wait. Power cut or not cut, number 3. So there is video of homeowners in Lahaina with the like, oh my gosh, look at this. The wind just blew down this tree and this power line and it's arcing. Bzz, bzz, bzz. You see it, right? There's video of it. So that power line had power. But there are also people that said that, they sent the kids home from school and we didn't have any power in the house. So is there almost like a mini grid for Lahaina? So you had some area, you had this area that was cut and this area that was not cut. Could both things be true? Possibly. Right? The emergency siren was not used. I think I can put my picture here. I'm not over the words anymore. The emergency siren was not used. The initial statement from the guy that was definitely in charge of the siren, he held a press conference, or he was attending a press conference, and said, yes, I'm the one that did not use the emergency sirens. And the reason why is because we were afraid that if we turn them on, then people would, think it's a tsunami and they would start running toward the fire. And like the next day, he quit. He stepped down. Because I think that, I don't know if he was told to say that or if that's the truth, if that's what he really thought. But I think common sense, what doesn't add up is that people hear the siren. Okay, I hear the siren. There's a tsunami. I come out of my house. I start running towards the hill and there's a wall of smoke and flames. They're going to go the other way. Come on, people aren't that stupid. Make sure I'm subscribed to James O'Keefe. All right, I'll check it out. Oh, for the microwaves. Excellent. Yeah. That's not on my list of oddities, but things that relate to it are. But first, number 5, the water. Was the water turned off or not? Now, the picture I have here of a fireman is kind of like, obviously, the next day or days after, where they do have water to put out the smoldering after the main fire went through on the 8th. But in the foothill kind of area, just outside the town where the down power lines are supposed to have started the fires. There were people with water fight, whether it was their garden hoses or police or firemen arrived and tried to hook up their hoses to there was no water. The water had been shut off. So they didn't shut off the electric, but they shut off the water. Or not. It's not adding up, right? Number 6, the metal that was melted next to no burning. So here we have a picture of a car where you can see all that metal, that river of metal that had been melting and then solidified. And this is in a spot where everything around it is burned. But there are examples of cars that are this burned and the grass around them isn't. Where's Mythbusters when you need them? Come on, guys, Mythbusters. Show me how they did that. Show me how a fire can be so hot that it's going to melt metal. You know, and there's different metals melt at different temperatures, but it's hot enough to melt this metal and not the grass. Number 7. Oh, and by the way, so yes, on your microwaved kind of stuff, James O'Keefe, it sounds real familiar. I think if I saw him, I would totally know who it is. That name sounds very familiar. I have the blue umbrellas where things are burned, but the umbrellas don't even look like they have smoke on them. And so then there's like, is it possible that a blue laser could be used in a direct energy weapon, or also known as DEW, DEW? Could that have been used so that other things got burned and things that were blue, because if they're the same color as a laser, then they don't necessarily burn? Is that possible? The police redirected the traffic into the fire. There's video of people completely engulfed in smoke. They think they're going to die. They keep inching forward. They get out of the smoke. They think, oh, I'm out. I'm okay. We're going to survive. Oh my gosh, that was so close. And then they get to the next intersection. There's a police officer telling them to turn around and go back. The ones that died. The ones that said, no, we're not going back where we just escaped from. We'll find another way. They survived. You know, which is also very strange. Talking about that, I find it very strange. The family that was in the water, that their video kind of highlighted the whole thing. They're one of these people, their footage, going along Front Street, being engulfed in the smoke, coming out of the smoke, encountering the police officer, turning around and going back. Then because they went back, they had to jump into the water. They were afraid for their father and their husband, the husband and father. They thought maybe he was in the fire. It turned out that he went to a movie. He went to see Oppenheimer and on a different part of the island, and he wasn't there. So he was okay. And didn't even know this fire was going on until like after everything. And so the older teenager is helping his younger brother and his mother to stay afloat, to hang on, to stay positive, don't panic, all of this as they survive. There were interviews with them after. And it's very interesting, and it was very like, okay, firsthand account. And then I heard somewhere else, someone that was in the water. So there were dead bodies floating everywhere. If they want to talk about the death toll only being 115, which now I think they've made it lower, that they've actually made, instead of higher, they've made it lower, but it was 115 forever. So there were more than 100 bodies just floating right there in that water. If that kid was in the water, if that family was in the water, there's video. I mean, is it just so horrific that they don't want to talk about that? Have they been told not to talk about that? They don't seem that traumatized. Everybody has their own way of dealing with things. I don't want to lessen what they went through. I'm just saying as other information came out, they just seem kind of 4 hours and it was cold. Yeah, you saw it. Yeah, everybody saw it. I mean, even the big news, mainstream media, would show clips of them. I don't know. Maybe that's a clue in and of itself. Number 8, police chief was from Las Vegas. Not just from Las Vegas, but he was the police chief during the Las Vegas shootings. And so I guess he did such a good job there that they needed him in Maui. Just glad it didn't happen to me or my loved ones. That's right. We count our blessings, don't we? Definitely count our blessings. And so I think that's it for my slideshow. So I can close that off. Oh, look, there's a cat. Which one is it? Kitty, kitty. Oh, here, let me see. Hey, kitty, kitty. Oh. Listen, kitty, kitty. Hey, kitty, kitty. Yeah, kitty, kitty. Say hello. Say hello to everybody. Oh, I didn't realize they were mainstream. I think so. At least their clips. I'm pretty sure, like CNN and Fox News and ABC and NBC and CBS. I think everybody was showing. I mean, not whole interviews with them, but at least clips of their footage of being in the water. Pretty sure. I just don't click on them, but I'm pretty sure that they're there. So I'm definitely not gonna make any accusations. I mean, I don't even think that I necessarily believe something that somebody like Alan Jones might say about an elementary school. I'm not going to go that far as to say that that this family was a similar situation as to what Alex Jones claims. No, I mean, I'm not even saying I believe that. I'm just saying things don't add up. And things are odd. And that's why people get fixated. Don't watch any of that MSN. Yeah, good old Alex. He kind of faded away. I think his channel still exists. I don't know. He's got other people doing their news stories or whatever. I remember before Alex Jones, it was Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh was the Alex Jones of the 80s. The 80s and 90s. I used to watch all the time because he was in Sacramento. He was in Sacramento before he went nationwide and got syndicated. Tea. Yeah. Thank you for writing it, because that is one thing I'm not going to say. I know I said that it's like, I'm just going to speak freely, and pretty much I will. But I think that one thing I'm not going to say, just in case. Any other cases that you think the true crime community has been fixated on? I mean, we briefly mentioned Gabby Petito. And I think a lot of the channels that are big now got big during Gabby Petito. I mean, even like Cinema Shogun, Mob Crew. There was that Mob Crew really did a lot of work on the Utah border, or was it just in Utah? Yeah, just Utah. The young man, just 19 or 20 years old, and was his name Dylan? Yeah, Dylan Rounds. There you go. Yeah, I mean, things weren't adding up there. Talk about land grabs. Sad. I don't think they found his body yet, did they? Did they find his remains? I know they arrested one guy and he kind of admitted some kind of involvement, but not 100%. Uh, but yeah, that was a like every day. What's new? What can we find? How can we help? I think a lot of times it's like that. No, they didn't find his body yet. That's just sad. There's a lot of mine shafts. He might have been thrown down a mine. James Brenner is the guy. Okay, that's the guy that was like working for him. So Dylan was young, but he had this old guy, not old, maybe what, 50s or something, but rugged, in and out of law, trouble with the law. Uh, Such a small town. And he fired him, but he was still living in a mobile home on Dylan's leased property. I think he wanted to work for him, and Dylan said no. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think he was working for him, but there would have been some issues, and so he stopped. And then, but the property, so Dylan lived on one property in a mobile home, and within walking distance, but usually he would take an ATV. And on the morning he died, he took his truck to the nearby property, which had a big barn and had another mobile home where James Brenner was living. It's been a great show. Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much. Summer Wells. Oh, there's lots of that is still going strong. Summer Wells. She's never been found either. You know. The evidence, and again the police weren't collecting the evidence properly. It's only because the parents went there even days later, and their pictures and their video and their interviews shared the details, that we were able to go, wait a minute, no, this isn't right, and kind of figured out. We've pretty much, I think, pieced together what happened with Dylan. We just don't know where James, how James disposed of his body. Brought out all the weirdos. Andy, yeah, younger. I thought, nah, but I got older and I was a Rush Limbaugh fan. Yeah, yeah. I'm not afraid to admit it. I loved watching Rush Limbaugh. And but Summer Wells was in Tennessee. Little girl. Um, there's video, I think, and pictures of her mother and another adult female, the grandmother, an aunt, a friend, had taken Summer, to a creek. They were out running errands, shopping, ice cream, whatever. There were drugs involved. There was a gallon jug of milk. Uh, uh, there's pictures of Summers in the back seat of the car with the jug of milk that people say it looks like she's already dead. You know, but the brothers, her brothers, do say that they all got home. She went downstairs to play. Then she went outside to the swing set, whatever. Um, and her parents, Candace and Dawn, were divorced. And drugs involved. And then what Candace loves getting online. I don't know. I don't know if she still gets online, and just I guess she doesn't sound like she's all there. I've never seen her talking online, so I don't know. I've just heard other people commenting. So, um, but she does get online and talk. Um, there's been suspicions that Summer was sold, or maybe she was just neglected in a way that she um, was easily abducted. Um, yeah, yeah, I was a ditto head. That's what Rush Limbaugh fans were called, ditto heads. Prods code. Prods. Products? Prods? Prods code. Prods is code for something? Sorry, Chalet. Oh, usually we have this amazing mind that like just like man, we're in tune together. But tonight, no, I'm off a little bit. I get maybe because I started early. Prawns, like the fish prawns? No, you would know that's Prawns. Prons. Prawns. Oh, is this something to do with the Summer Wells case? Maybe that I don't know about, like somebody's name or something? Because I'm not all that up. I was never caught up in the Summer Wells case. In fact, there was a lot going on with it. At the same time, there was that baby in Georgia or North Carolina or South Carolina. Oh, let's try out child porn. Yeah, that's yeah. There's a lot of that involved. I think that there is evidence that some people had that on their computers or whatever. I'm not sure, but yeah, what was she being trafficked basically by her parents or by somebody else for that? Um, it's possible. But yeah, remember that little baby somebody. The mother killed the baby, put it in the trash bag, and then people like FBI specialists or whatever came from other states to help go through the landfill because there's a very specific process of way you have to go through the landfill, and they found the baby's remains. Do you remember that baby's name? Anyway, I was kind of watching that and that's kind of, and I was just like, I can't have another case right now. You know what I mean? I'm at full quota of cases right now. Even though Summer Wells had happened before, but there was like some new things happening. There's a 911 call where the mom says she was being uh AR'd by dad, and why no follow up. So you mean with Summer and her dad, or you mean her dad with like his own sister when they were younger and stuff like that? Because he's definitely Michelle After Dark or Michelle Walks. She has two channels. Um, she's gotten a lot into that and about Don Wells and yeah, okay, and what he's said and admitted to um, and things. Yeah. And then he even said it was kind of sad. He said, you know, my sister asked me not to say anything, and here he is saying things. But he could be he was talking about 20 years ago. His sister asked him not to say anything, right? Yeah. On that day, Summer something was happening to Summer. Um, are you talking about long term or specifically the day she went missing? Because then there's some guy that lives down the road from them, and he's all sus. You know, it's really, really interesting. How come we didn't find out the name of that baby? Not that day, on a different day. Okay, and there's a 911 call. Wow. No, I didn't know about that. But see, there's all these things, and I think that one captured everybody's attention just because Summer's such a cute little girl and what happened to her, and CNY might have had it, yeah. And then not long after Kylie Rodney's car was found, so it was in the, because that was, what did we say in the slides? August. That was in August, and then that winter, there was another girl that was found like just up the road from her house, a few miles though. Would have been quite a walk, but it was in the middle of winter. There was snow, there was, you know, uh, and it was kind of like the areas were so close to each other that they might have gone in the same circles, or, I mean, in fact, I think there were friends of Kylie's mother were like part of this other family that the daughter was a teenager. It was like hallucinating or something, and ran out of the house with no shoes on. Um, and then it took them a day or two before they found her body. And so many crimes, so many missing children. Why do we fixate on some and not the others? Certainly, we know that when there's information that doesn't add up, there was that other little boy that went missing, and then out of his yard. He was just playing in his yard, and then he went missing, and then they figured in a neighborhood just a few blocks away that there were some people that might have been involved, and they were digging up the yard, but there was nothing in the yard. You just watched a video where a cop put his girlfriend in a psychiatric ward for 4 days for no reason, and he's in trouble. Oh my goodness. Wow. Michael Vaughn is the monkey. Michael Monkey Vaughn was the little boy that was just outside playing in his yard. And I don't know, the mom went in to change the baby's diaper or something, whatever. And, or maybe she thought he was in the backyard and didn't realize he went out in the front yard or whatever. And he was gone. And I don't think they found his body yet either. Another cop was recording, thank God. Oh, with the one with the psychiatric ward, putting his girlfriend in the psychiatric ward. My goodness. Yeah, so sometimes there's some good that comes from all this extra surveillance that's invading our privacy and all of this. I know we don't always like it, but yeah, sometimes there's some good that comes from it. My mom says the news media keeps it in the top news even when there's nothing new. Yeah. And if the news media does that, because the only reason I think the news media, the mainstream media, your ABC, CBS, NBC, the only reason they do it is because they don't have any other news stories. They don't have anything big enough to take its place. Once they do, they bump it, But whereas on the internet with the true crime community, it is like a dog with a bone. They are not going to let it go, and they are going to keep digging and keep digging until they find some answers. Oh, the recording of the other cop shows him restraining his girlfriend. I bet that's not pretty. Burning Man captured everyone's attention for a while. But I don't think it was so much that things weren't adding up. I think people just wanted to see the outcome because it was like a tragedy in the making. It's like watching a train wreck, right? Shema! Shema is cat in Khmer. Sounds like they knocked something over. Let me go see who it was. Shema, babies. What is that? Get a kitty. What you doing? Get a kitty. Kitty, kitty. Kitty, kitty. Stay down. It was kitty, kitty, but he just went back further in the boxes. So whatever. What else? So Burning Man, yeah, we all kind of watched that, but then nothing really happened. And somebody died while they were there, but then there was never any news about that either. Was it just a drug overdose? Was it just a heart attack or a stroke or something? Not a peep. Once everybody finally left, then, it was just like, okay, whatever. And that baby, Dolly and the Bullhorn Betty, they were all, all out there getting arrested. Let me see. Bullhorn Betty. Where's the news? You guys know Bullhorn Betty? I mean, I have no problems with her at all. I'm fine. I haven't watched her in a while, but I watched her with the baby one. And but Urban Dictionary. This is not me. This is Urban Dictionary defines Bullhorn Betty: an uneducated, loud, obnoxious, self-entitled, victim-shaming tragedy pimp with over-processed hair. Oh, that is just so mean. I would not be saying all that. Okay, where was it? Where did it say the lawsuit? Or you know what? I know you guys can't see my screen right now. Playlists. Quentin, baby Quentin. Baby Quentin. What happened to Ebola? Yeah, nothing. It's annoying. Whoa. Yeah, so baby Quentin. Now that I have that, let me look up baby Quentin. Where was that? Georgia. It was in Georgia, but it was in not southern, but like by the coast, wasn't it? Wasn't it near Savannah? Yeah. Leilani Simon, a Savannah mother accused of killing her missing toddler, is due back in court this week, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So he was reported missing on October 5th last year. His remains were reported being found on November 28th. 20 months old. So just under 2 years old. He was the cutest little baby. You saw a ghost. But yeah, Dolly got arrested over the baby Quentin. Yeah. They were both Dolly and Betty were very active outside the house of the mother because police weren't arresting her. They believed that there was enough. Well, it's like, okay, in fact, everyone first saw Bullhorn Betty out in front of not Gabby Petito, but Brian Laundrie's parents' house. A lot of, oh, the ghost with the baby Quentin. Yeah, that looked like a ghost. So Dolly, who's a guy, um, Dolly was filming the house or was talking in front of the house, and you see this little shadow run by that looks like it's baby Quentin running by. Oh my gosh, it was eerie. Yeah, yeah, that was something. But it's like people people like real time news as well. I mean, when I was growing up, let's talk some Gen X here, and baby boomers include. You remember when we were kids? It was the 5 o'clock news, 5 o'clock news, and the 11 o'clock news. 5 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or was it 10? Mom, remind me. Was it 10 o'clock news that was from 10 to 11? Maybe it was the 10 o'clock news. That would make more sense. So 5 o'clock news, 10 o'clock news. You had to wait. Whatever was going on, you didn't know about it until 5 o'clock or 10 o'clock. In the morning, the housewives got to stay and watch, Good Morning America and all this, which was mostly fluff pieces anyway. And you didn't really see anything unfold in live time. The O.J. Simpson case. Well, I think of um, the space shuttle. That was live when the space shuttle exploded. And that was eerie because then it shot to all the parents and the families of the people that were on board, and they're just like looking up at the sky, and they're kind of like squinting a little bit. They don't understand, what are we looking at? Whereas we had this close-up shot of the shuttle exploding, and we knew what happened. But they on the ground, they didn't know what had happened yet. And I just, it felt bad. For me, it felt bad knowing that I knew something that they don't know yet about their family, you know, and they're going to be in moments, they're going to be their lives are going to be changed forever. Because there's always going to be that before they died and after they died. That's going to be a moment of their life that separates their entire life. He grabbed some idiot's megaphone. Yeah, that's true. Not Bullhorn Betty's megaphone, but some other lady came out to combat Bullhorn Betty, and Dolly wasn't going to have any of it. The evening paper. You go back before TV. Only had you had to wait for the paper to be printed. You know, 6 o'clock. Mom says there was the 6 o'clock news. Okay, so people got off work at 5, gave them time to get home at 6 o'clock. Then we had our sitcoms, and then we had our, crime drama show, or like McCloud or Columbo or Rockford Files. So first you have like your Happy Days for the half hour show. Then you get your hour show. And then that all wraps up by 10. So then you get your 10 o'clock news, and you hear about something after it's reported on what had already happened, not live. Then you had CNN come on with Ted Turner and Jane Fonda. They started CNN out of Atlanta, and it was on cable. It wasn't on the airwaves. It was only on cable, and it was 24-hour news. So you didn't have. So that was the first time you didn't have to wait until, but it was still reporters reporting on what happened, not always live as it was happening. All the school children. Which school children? Lahaina? Right here in Florida. Oh, I think it was Challenger or Columbia. I don't remember. I can never remember the name of the shuttle. But yeah, because there was the teacher Christina McCullough, that was on the shuttle. And it was the first, I believe she was the first non-trained, trained astronaut. She was just a teacher, but she like won the lottery kind of to be chosen to be on this shuttle and to represent education. And so all the school kids were set up with televisions to watch this teacher, groundbreaking pioneer on the shuttle. And then it explodes with all those kids. Yeah. Watching. And you were right there in Florida, could see it, that weird cloud. Oh my gosh, Chalet, that's amazing. And not in a good way. But yeah, wow. You remember when they changed it from the evening paper to the morning paper? And you saw the shuttle explode. Wow. Challenger. Okay, thank you. Is Columbia the one that like had a problem as it was landing? It was coming into land over California and it exploded, but all the pieces went all the way to Texas? Or was there never a problem with Columbia and they just both start with C? You were pregnant at the time. Isn't that amazing that we can remember like when you're pregnant, you remember like this happened when I was pregnant with this one, and this happened when I was pregnant with that one. And then you believe so that Columbia also had an accident. Okay, what is it with C's? Don't name any more space shuttles with C. And sometimes I do you actually do calculations like, oh well, I remember I was 5 months pregnant when something happened. My kid was born in this month, so subtract X number of months. So that must have happened in this month. I mean, you can actually like do math with pregnancy. You had a terrible cold, and it was very cold that day too. Oh, wow. I remember I lived in California and watching it. I remember Princess Diana when she died. I had been working either as a bartender or a cocktail waitress. I was working at the Holiday Inn in Santa Nella, California. And bar closes 12, 1 o'clock, whatever. And I get home and there's people, my neighbors, my ex-husband, my neighbors, everybody's out in the street, like talking to each other that late at night, and everybody's usually asleep when I get home. Right. At least I could have been working like a wedding in the daytime and finished early, so it might not have been the middle of the night. But I just remember I was coming home from work as a bartender, and everyone was in the street, and I parked the car and I go, like, what's going on? And they're like, Princess Diana died. I'm like, what? I couldn't believe it. Chernobyl. Yeah. Which now I only with this Ukraine war am I finding out that it was like actually in Ukraine, because like when it happened in the USSR, right? There weren't other countries. It was just USSR, is how our brain kind of filed away the USSR. I'm sure a lot of people knew that Chernobyl was in Ukraine, but I never made the connection until like just in the last year or two or whatever, when Ukraine's been in the news. I was like, oh, that's where Chernobyl was. But of course, I'd seen plenty of documentaries or news stories or whatever about Chernobyl. I don't remember where I was when it happened. I remember when I was 12 years old, my dad came out to visit me, to introduce me to my new stepmom. And we went camping in Yosemite National Park. And then that summer, when I went out to visit him, we did like a road trip from Georgia up to Maryland. And I think we went through Tennessee up to Ohio, to Steubenville, Ohio, first. Just visiting all these relatives I'd never met before, both on her side of the family and on my dad's side of the family. And we were crossing through Pennsylvania, going toward Maryland. And we passed. My dad pointed out there's 3 Mile Island. I remember that. Weird, these like little snippets we remember. And you were pregnant again, maybe 1986. Yeah. Funny. Yeah, but I just remember Princess Diana just being like stunned. It's just like it was surreal. I couldn't believe it. And then when the OJ thing happened, I remember the chase and watching the chase live. So see, there's been some like rare every 6 months you see something live happen, and it's not just reported on, but you just happen to catch it live. I mean, that the news happens to be there to catch it live, right? And not just that your timing is available to watch it on, you're happen to be in front of a TV where you see it live, but even for the news to be broadcasting it live, rare, very rare. Maybe a hurricane. You got everybody blowing, the reporter stuck blowing in the wind, Elvis on your way. No. Oh, wait. Yeah, I was old enough to remember Elvis dying, but it didn't impact me. I don't know why. That's so weird. But you know what did impact me was Leonard Skinner. And not because I like Leonard Skinner, but because my friend Christine, her sister, loved Leonard Skinner. And in my innocence, my naivete, I saw the news that there was a plane crash and members of Leonard Skinner died. I ran to the phone. I picked it up. I called Chris's house. I told her sister, there was a plane crash and Leonard Skinner died. And she screamed and started crying. And then I was like, uh-oh. Maybe, I wasn't expecting that reaction, learned something that day. Reagan was shot when you were in math class. I remember that being a news story. Yeah. And they shot James Brady, I thought is in the head, but he lived or whatever. I know Elvis dying would be huge. That's what it's like. I remember Princess Diana dying. Remember Leonard Skinner dying. I don't remember Elvis dying. Mom, why don't I remember Elvis dying? We're the same age as Lisa Marie, the daughter. Yeah, his wife was Priscilla. I mean, Lisa Marie's mother was Priscilla. And then Lisa Marie goes and marries Jackson 5, Michael Jackson. August 16th. Oh my gosh. But I do remember Elvis's birthday, I believe, is the same as my son James. Either that or Houdini. January 8th. January 8th. Famous birthday. Yeah, boom, Elvis Presley right there. And let me see, when was Houdini born? Houdini, Harry Houdini. Why aren't you giving me like the answers right on the side? You always give answers right on the side. Like, I mean, the Harry Houdini, Wikipedia. Oh no, he was born on March 24th. Oh, and he died on Halloween. Interesting. I don't know why Houdini why I thought there was a date, March 24th. That doesn't ring any bell, unless it was my ex-husband's birthday. He was born in March. I don't know. I'm just going to change the slides a little every so often for people. I wasn't into him then. Yeah, I was never really. I mean, I had a greatest hits album or something. I mean, we had an album or two, of Elvis. I knew his music, but yeah, I was never. I mean, now the Beatles. I kind of went through a Beatles phase, and then I got to go see Beatlemania. Mom, you finally let me go to San Francisco by myself with Mary, and the two of us took Bart and we went to see Beatlemania together. Your mom loves Elvis. Yeah, Mom, you didn't really like love Elvis, right? You like the Everly brother. We kind of went through this once before. The Everly brothers and the Righteous Brothers and kind of things like with the Beach Boys. Did you like the Beach Boys? I don't know. I kind of think of them 60s. Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. I was born in 66, right? But you didn't like the Rat Pack. You weren't really into like rock and roll. I mean, as I was growing up, you liked going with Sandy. You and Sandy would go to country western bars, I think probably to go dancing and stuff. So we listened to country music for a while. Unstable Mabel! Oh my god, I'm gonna have a heart attack. I'm gonna have a heart attack. Oh my god. Unstable Mabel! Hi! Oh my gosh. Oh, Dean Martin show? Yeah. Wow. Wow. Oh, thanks, Mom, for saying yes for whatever I was talking about. Oh, wow. Really, my heart, I can feel my heart beating in my chest. Wow. Oh, I am so happy. So happy. Yes. Andy, are you listening? Mabel is here. Andy's been loving for you, waiting for you, missing you, sending love and prayers your ways, Mabel. You know, but Andy told us he was here, but he's working, so he's just listening, so he might not have seen your comment. So oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you so much for coming. And oh, Chalet was cutting her toenails and heard me have a fit and look up. Mabel, we're just so happy. Oh, bless you. Bless you. Oh, wonderful. One finger typing, but you're here. Okay, that's all right. We give you grace. Oh, I'm in tears. Oh my goodness, Mabel, that is just so wonderful. Oh, well, that's exciting. Woohoo. Yeah, we can have us a good old time. Now, there's one new thing I've started, and that's my Saturday morning, your all's Friday night. We're doing karaoke, you know, and anybody who wants to can join on screen. Oh, look at big smooches for Shell. You know, or nobody has to get up on screen. Oh, here comes Andy. Thurman Munson, Cincinnati Reds catcher, and John Denver. Were you busy typing that while we were talking about Mabel? Yeah, John Denver's awesome. Used to watch, Sonny and Cher, John Denver. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Mabel, there you go. Andy, Mabel saying hi to you. Oh, wow. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening. It just feels like a miracle, Mabel. I'm just so glad. So you'll have to watch a replay about like all of the details that we went over about different crimes, cases. But in summary, we're saying the reason people get fixated is because there's so little information that law enforcement gives us these days for whatever reason. And because there's so little information, or information that doesn't add up, that then speculation happens. Suspicion. If it doesn't add up, there's suspicion. If there's just not enough, there's speculation. And so that just keeps those cases going, and we end up getting fixated on them. And we talked about, I had a little slideshow, but then we talked about a lot of other ones too. Andy's giving huge kisses on Mabel. And Chalet's giving kiss emojis. Oh, this is a happy, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Yes. Oh, yeah, they gaslight for sure. Wow, back to Kylie. Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. We had Kylie, we had the Idaho 4, we had the Delphi murders, and we talked a little bit about the Lahaina fires. You know, um, and so then I've just been kind of moving these slides through so people have different things to look at. Um, we'll have to do that one. Which one? Oh, happy day. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think that's what we'll start with. We'll start with oh happy day. My Saturday morning, your Friday night. So maybe Mabel, I hope if you're not busy on your Friday night, that you can join us. I start at 8 a.m. So what it's 9 p.m. Is that what time for you, Chalet? So then we were just talking about some music. We're talking about live, remembering historic events is kind of and what we were talking about in general just now. So yeah, Thurman Munson was a Cincinnati Reds catcher, Andy says. I have no idea who that is or what. Thurman Munson. Let me look it up. Thurman Munson. Oh, a plane crash. So let me go ahead and stop sharing the slideshow. And instead we will share this tab. So there you go. Thurman Munson. Air crash kills Yanks Munson. Oh, well, oh. Well, he was of the New York Yankees, not the Cincinnati Reds, but he died in Ohio. So that's probably why you got that. He died in Ohio. They wanted it hush hush. They always wanted hush hush. I don't even know which case you're talking about, but it's true for all of them. Yeah, we're so happy you're here, Mabel. Yeah. So. What else? What other kind of news stories do we know? Let's even look at the news right now, see what's going on. Oh, here's the odd. Idaho man breaks his own record for catching grapes while juggling. Interesting. 219 dogs attended Paw Patrol movie screening, breaking a world record. Sheep wander into a greenhouse and eat 600 pounds of marijuana plants. Oh my God. Did they die? Car wash workers find a groundhog in the front bumper of someone's car. Oh, that's sad. Michigan Lighthouse launches messages in bottles offering free stays. Caretakers of a historic Michigan lighthouse. Interesting. What we got going on here? You could look at that cop. Which cop? Me too. Those stroke is still kicking my ass. Oh, I'm sorry, Mabel. The only stroke we want to have is the Billy Quiet. Oh, yeah, there's stroke me, but I always, when I think of Billy Squire, I think of Rock Me Tonight. I think if I put it on mute, I always think of this one. I had just graduated high school when this came out. I always laugh when I see it. I think it's so funny. And you know what? There's this guy that the professor of rock, and he goes, he talks about millions of different songs and some backgrounds that said that Billy Squire's career was actually doing pretty good until he did this video, and then he lost his whole career. Yeah, he thought it was the Reds. Yeah, there was probably, maybe he was going to play the Reds, but it said he was the captain of the New York Yankees. Yeah. I thought this was so funny. Then in the end, the music video, they start throwing paint around, don't they? I don't know. The way he's dancing around. He's got pink pants on, or the light makes him look pink. So gay. I don't know. But isn't that politically incorrect to say that? That was the thing back then. Miami Vice was hot at the time. Yeah, New York sounds familiar. I just read it. That's what it said. He was the captain of the New York Yankees. Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah, that part. Yeah, yeah, Chalet. I see you coming. Ooh, look at that shot. Oh, that director is so cool. And he's just looking back, people that were like hardcore rockers would get upset at this video. I didn't notice it at the time because I liked it. It was like one of my favorite songs at the time. Yeah, I don't know. The word pansy comes to mind. Pink and gray. Very, very Miami Vice. Yeah, that was it for him. And I didn't even realize it till I was watching the Professor of Rock show. BBL. Is that Bubble? BBL? I gotta look that up. Video killed the radio star. BBL. Abbreviation. Oh, be back later. Okay. I had to look it up. No problem, Mabel. Okay, go do whatever you got to do. We're you've made our day, our night, our life. It's great. Thank you. That would ruin anyone's career. I know. Oh goodness. Hmm. So what else? What else? Do we want to keep going? I need talk about nails. Do I still have? I had nail clippers in here, and then the cats knocked it over, and everything's lost. Looking for nail clippers because you mentioned nail clippers. Because look at my nail. Can you see that? It's like half. There's normal nails, and there's like half a nail, and it's so long. Oh well. I don't know where they are. Oh, look at here's Cassie. It's Mr. Casanova. Can you say hi, Cassie? Can you say hi, Cassie? No. Just want to put your rear end in everybody's face. Oh, they're lovey-dovey. Oh my gosh, it's after 10 o'clock here. Oh, okay. So actually, I should probably end it for tonight. And get to bed because I do have work in the morning, and I got rent to pay and cats to feed. So I got to keep my job and do a good work and keep everybody happy. And I got plenty to do. We've got some final reports. We've got some social media content to make. We've got some live streams to prepare for. Yeah, we got a lot going on. So, but today was nice. Today I went to an American Chamber of Commerce event. He's like about to step on the keyboard. An American Chamber of Commerce event at a hotel called Raffles. My mom knows where this is, Raffles. So it was really nice. There were a lot of good speakers. My notes. My gosh, I can't believe it. See, here's the agenda. I used 4 pieces of paper, front and back, completely full of notes. And so that's another thing I have to do tomorrow is write my notes. So you've been up since 4 with sciatica pain. Oh my gosh, Chalet, I'm so sorry. That's one of the worst. Absolutely one of the worst. Do you have a chiropractor? Do you go to for that? I know there's different forms of sciatica, but the kind that I would have would be like your muscles are like in lines, right? And so like the sciatic nerve would get in between the muscles and then get pinched by the muscles. So massage would help it, but it took not just one time, because it's like you kind of loosen the if you push too hard at one, you just pain. You kind of gotta get those muscles loosened up a little bit, and then there's a method to that. Just watch Rock Me Tonight. What is on your screen? Funny as all get out. Oh yeah, so you watched it, yeah. Shoots from your butt down to your leg. Yeah, the sciatica, exactly, because it comes out. You've got your spinal cord, and then it branches, but to go, the nerve branches, and so that nerve can get pinched in between your glutes. But there's other causes for sciatica. That's one thing that would happen to me sometimes. Is that kind. So that it's basically a pinched nerve, pinched between the muscles. But oh yeah, it's painful, so painful. I'm so sorry. I hope that I don't know, maybe a hot bath might kind of help relieve some of it. I don't know. Oh, you know what you did. Okay, that's TMI. I mean, I'm gonna stop you right there. Whatever it is you did, I don't need to know. Yeah, so love, and flames for Mabel. She said she would be right back. So let's just end with a prayer. And if she's watching on replay, then that's fine. Or if she can hear us, that's fine. Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for this wonderful blessing of Mabel being back tonight, and that we know she's okay, and that all the prayers that we have been sending for her have been answered. And we just pray that you continue to bless her and heal her body, and that each of us watching right now, Lord, that you just touch our life in whatever way that we need it, that that we're open to you and we receive your blessings, and look out for all our fur babies and our human babies. In Jesus' name, amen. There you go. All righty then. So this has been a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the slide presentation, even though at one point I forgot to change it for you guys, and I was reading off of my PowerPoint and not off the StreamYard, and I didn't realize that I hadn't advanced the slide. I apologize for that. But it was my first time using it in StreamYard. So I think overall that the process, and also I noticed that I need to actually make more margin maybe around. Don't run things all the way to the edge of the slide because it's gonna compact it. I even, so maybe we could do some kind of future slide topic as well. Yeah, I hope to see everyone here Friday night or my Sunday morning for karaoke. Just make sure you turn your notifications on. If you don't get a notification, then put it in your calendar for your time zone. But it's 8 a.m. in Cambodia on Saturday morning. And so I believe it's 9 p.m. Eastern, because you guys don't have your fall back until November this year. I can't believe it's that long until your fall back. I looked it up because I needed to know, because once you guys fall back, it's real easy, because all I need to do is switch AM and PM. And if I start at 8 a.m., then it's 8 p.m. Eastern, Thanks. Yes. Well, thank you for being here. Hey, you know what? Hit the like button. There's 3 of you here. Yeah, they made it a lot like November. It's never. I don't ever remember it in November. But anyway, so yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday night is karaoke if you're in the U.S. And wherever else you are, you can figure out from there. And 8 a.m. here on Saturday. And yeah, because I don't think I might get 1 or 2 likes on my lives, but there's 3 eyeballs right now. And technically, we've got Chalet, Mabel, Andy, and my mom. That's at least 4 likes. Come on, guys. And maybe invite somebody that you like that might like this or whatever. We'll just let it grow organically. I'm not in it for the money or anything like that. It's just what it is, but it is kind of fun when there's a little bit of growth, so I hope you enjoyed all the information about why the true crime community got fixated on these cases, which all boils down to misinformation that makes everyone suspicious, or lack of information, which makes everybody speculate. Suspicions and speculations because of misinformation or lack of information. If we had more information, then things wouldn't be a mystery that we'd have to dig around and try and figure out. All right. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week. I love all of you. And that's it.